right, my friends, welcome to the Western Hills Sunday School class. Rob Demumbrian is not here. He is on vacation. He's out with the Demumbrian family. But I am here, Dave Estes, the one and the only. We're going to talk about being offended. Because here's the fact. And one day, for no particular reason, we became offended by everything. A few weeks ago, we looked at the word offended and talked a little bit about it. But here's what I'd like to do for right now. I'd like to show you a video of a young man that talks about being offended. Check this out. Hopefully it will be educational for you. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage now.
I've been having life-changing results since I learned how to get offended. Now when people don't see things the way that I see them, I just get offended. And it teaches them how not to see things from their point of view. I'm offended that you would think you have the right to post that to your Facebook account. People have every right to see things from their perspective, as long as their perspective is the same as my perspective.
Here's a water for you.
I don't drink out of plastic. Why would you not know that? People who don't get offended are insecure, take no self-responsibility, and have no sense of purpose in life. I pray for them.
JP, I don't even know why you're offended.
I'm offended that you don't know how you offended me.
JP, I wanted to thank you and show my gift of appreciation by giving you my book, because I know you need it, right?
You're just assuming that I know how to read? There's 3 easy steps to getting offended by anything. Step 1, listen to what someone says, and then selflessly make it all about you by taking it personally, even if it has nothing to do with you.
I really want you to have a great life.
You're assuming my life isn't good enough the way it is? How dare you?
Step 2, you want to create a large amount of tension inside your body. You really want to concentrate on bringing the tension to your stomach, your chest, and your face.
How are you doing today, JP?
I'm offended that you would have to ask. Step 3, now project outrage onto the other person. This will make it seem like you're getting rid of the tension inside your body, but it actually drives it down deeper inside you. And because it stays there, it'll make it even easier for you to get offended next time. I'm offended that you would wear that shirt.
I'm actually a little offended by that.
I'm offended that you're offended by that. Since I've learned how to get offended, I bring huge amounts of joy to everyone in my life. People feel like they're free to just be themselves when they're around me. I'm just happy I can make such a big difference in the world.
Okay, so we're back. So, offended. This is one of those topics, one of those subjects that I think is extremely contemporary for what we are going through right now. You've been offended by people. I've been offended by people. There is no doubt that I have offended people, not just recently, but probably for quite a long time in my life. It's just one of those things. Almost everyone gets offended by something or someone. Some people fake being offended in some passive-aggressive way in order to control people or control situations. Some people get offended because they like the attention they get when they do get offended. Some people get offended because it helps them feel like self-righteous or better or to compensate for some kind of weakness. But the fact is, you get offended, I get offended. It's the way the world is going. Jesus tells us, or actually James tells us, that my dear brothers, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. That's James chapter 1, verse 19. That we're going to be offended. Things are going to happen. In order to deal with this, we've got to be quick to listen. We've got to be slow to speak. We've got to be slow to become angry. It's very practical things. The last time we met, we looked at there are 4 blessings that will come from not being so easily offended. From not fretting and not stewing on things. There are 4 things that happen to us that if we're able to have, I don't know what you want to call it, thicker skin, or being more patient with people, or letting things roll off your back, or not being so sensitive. I don't know what words you want to use or what kind of phrase you want to put in there, but there are definitely 4 blessings that come from not being so easily offended. Just real quick review. Blessing number 1, we're in a better position to hear something that we need to hear. There are times that I don't want to listen to people maybe from the other side or from a different point of view or perspective. But if I'm willing to listen, if I'm willing to sit down and be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, then I'm going to be able to hear something that I will absolutely need to hear. It will be beneficial to me. It will be good for me. But if I'm easily offended, if I fly off the handle, if I cut people off, if I won't listen to people, I'll never be able to hear something that I need to hear. I'm also in a better position. Blessing number 2, I'm also in a better position to love someone when they're not easy to love. There's a lot of things going on today where I'm telling you, at least from my perspective, there are some folks that are just not easy to love. They're driving me nuts. But if I'm not so easily offended, I will have a chance to love them the way I want to be loved myself. Because I offend people. I want people to love me when I'm not a lovable person. So that is a blessing that can come when you're not easily offended. Another blessing is to not have your joy stolen. I tell you what, there's just a lot of folks that are just getting upset and worked up, and mad and wound up today. If you're not so easily offended, you're going to have the opportunity to not have your joy stolen by this world or by some kind of situation or by some kind of phrase or by something somebody has said or something somebody has not said. You'll be able to stay full of joy. And the final blessing is that you'll be able to stay on mission. The mission for a Christian is to get as many people to heaven as possible. We want people to come to know Jesus Christ because He's the answer to everything. All the stuff that we're going through, everything that we're dealing with, all the bickerings and all the fightings and all the chaos, all the mess in this world, there's only one answer to this, and that's Jesus Christ. When people talk about the coronavirus, the only answer to the coronavirus, honestly, is to have a good, decent, hard, tough, deep relationship with Jesus Christ, because I know that whether I live or whether I die, I'm going to be okay. You know? For me to live is Christ and for me to die is gain. If you are on mission, you're going to be okay. With all the stuff that's going on, with all the racial tension and stuff, we have to know that the number one thing is to take people to the cross, to let reconciliation happen at the foot of the cross. Because I'm not going to understand somebody's perspective. They're not going to understand my perspective. But I'm telling you, all of us, no matter what skin color we have, we're all sinners. We're all lost people. We're all searching and trying to find God and trying to find Jesus and trying to live by the Holy Spirit and trying to learn more about the Bible, trying to love people. That's what we're trying to do. We need to stay on mission. So, today, how do you stay less offendable? If that's a certain word. I don't know, maybe I made that word up. But how do you not get so easily offended? Well, I think there are 3 things, because I'm telling you, we get offended. We pull out our phones just like this thing, and I just like that fellow on the screen. Man, I go to town, I start looking at things. I look at certain people's posts. In fact, I even go to certain people's posts just so I can get offended or get mad at it and stuff. How do you not get so easily offended? 3 questions. It's going to be a short class today. What is your bait? What is your bait? See, I can be trapped by the same things. Think back to the last time you were offended. What was behind that anger? What was behind that angry reaction? What was behind that emotion? Because I think what I find a lot of times is, to me, anger is a secondary emotion. Sometimes it grows out of something that you desire too much or something that you fear too much. For example, there was a person that came up to me a few years ago, well-meaning person. She comes up to me and she says this: David, you have really grown as a preacher. You've really become good at it. Okay. All right. That was a compliment. It was a nice compliment. That person told me that I've gotten better at what I'm doing. But what did Dave Estes hear? Here's what I heard. I heard this. Oh, I was once a bad preacher. I was once bad at this. So then I allowed that compliment that was genuine and sincere to become something that discouraged me and took me down. See, I have a large fear of being incompetent. I want to be competent. I want to be on top of my game. I want to be the best that I can be. But the only way that I can become good at something is if I start off bad and have to get better. I know that my bait in a lot of arguments and issues is my ego and it's my pride. It's a vanity issue. I know that's my bait. What's your bait? What is the one or two or three things that's your bait? What's the one thing that can really get you going? Maybe it's your desire to be right all the time. Maybe you can't let an argument go, not even in the bedroom or in social media. Maybe you always have to have the last word. Maybe you desire to be wanted or chosen, that they're offended when someone else gets the attention. Maybe it really gets under your craw when someone else is getting attention and you get offended by that. Maybe you have some kind of desire to have life easy and you get offended when things become hard for you, or when someone makes things hard for you, or someone pushes you to change. Maybe your desire is to be a perfect parent, and the slightest suggestion that you're not a perfect parent can really tick you off. See, sometimes we get offended when someone even has a different bait than we do. You're like, well, I can't believe that doesn't offend you. That offends me that it didn't offend you. It goes on and on. What's your bait? What's the thing that gets under your skin? What's the thing that drives you nuts? What's the one thing that drives you crazy? What is your bait? It's different for all of us. What is your identity? See, we attach our life to politics and sports teams and brands of clothes and music and ideas for a project. You're Republican, you're Democrat, and all of a sudden we're on two different sides of the aisle, and we get wound up because you believe this and I believe that, and we don't even have anything in common, and it gets wound up. What's your identity? Is it that I am a white, conservative, Southern man? Is that my identity? Or is my identity that I'm a Vanderbilt fan or a Boston Celtics fan, or I think that or I love professional wrestling, if you want to call that a sport. Or sometimes people get wound up because of brands of clothes. Well, this brand of clothes is better than that brand of clothes, or this, that, or even the kind of music. Well, I like old rock and roll, or I like country music, or I like rap, or something, and we get wound up and we get offended if someone says that your music isn't good, or I don't like your music. Or maybe they have a better idea for a project. Well, what's wrong with my idea? Why is your idea better? And it goes on and on and on and on. The slightest criticism, the slightest preference against something, the slightest bump in the road can send people off, can send people down a road of an offendable road. It becomes personal, and everything all of a sudden becomes personal, and it's a personal attack. We have to be careful not to attach ourselves to those things and then forcing people to agree with us on them. Some folks are offended all of the time because things are just too personal for them. If you have a different opinion, then you're offensive to those people. It's almost like it's a personal violation. What is your identity? My identity, before my political preference, before my sports team, before my Southern heritage, or whatever you want to call it, is I am a Christian, saved by grace, not by works. That is who I am. I'm saved by the cross. I am a Christian, someone who should love people, someone who's wanting to be Christ-like. That's my identity. It trumps everything else. Everything else is secondary. I am a Christian. So what is your bait? What is your identity? And finally, what is your footing? What are you founded on? What are you standing in? Ephesians chapter 6 verse 15 says that our feet needs to be readied with the boots or the shoes of the gospel of peace. In Rome, the Roman military boots had spikes on the bottom of the shoes so they could maintain balance on uneven ground. And so what would happen when Paul was talking about having your feet with the gospel of peace is that we need to have a stable footing, that we need to have a foundation, that we're not going to be moved, that we're going to be there, and our footing is going to be right there in peace, and that we're going to have spikes on our shoes, on our boots. It's going to keep us there because life is going to be uneven. We need to be secure and stable through the gospel, the story of Jesus. My life is found in the cross. My life is not found in my opinions and actions of others. I can stay stable and upright and not be off-ended or offended, however you want to put it. I have an anchor, and this anchor is called the gospel of peace. If you're easily angered and offended, then your foundation is in the wrong place. Maybe what's wrong with our country today is we have too much communication. There's too much media. There's too much stuff out there. Everyone has a voice now. Everyone can say what they want to. Everyone can throw out their opinion without ever thinking how it's going to affect other people. Sometimes a lack of communication is a good thing, especially in the big picture. Yeah, you need to talk things out. Yes, you need to have your voice heard. Absolutely. There comes a time and a place about that. But we're constantly taking people to task about all kinds of things. I can't say this. You can't say that. Don't offend me. I won't offend you. And we go at it and we go at it. I don't like the way you looked at me. Well, I don't like the way you looked at me either. And it goes back and forth and back and forth. And social media, Facebook and Twitter and all this stuff is revealing that we have our identity in the wrong places. Our identity should be found in heaven. There are people that I know that I see on social media that troll on Facebook, picking a fight, wanting to start things, wanting to stir up issues. I'm thinking, why are you trying to do this? Why are you being like this? Why can't we just have the gospel of peace? Why can't we get along with one another? Why are we so easily offended? Why can we not just love each other, love God, and try to make this place that we're living in a better place? What's your bait? What's your identity? What's your footing? We need to stay in the Word so we can be more stable. I bet we spend more time in the news than in the good news. So I'll close with two things. First of all, we need to give people the benefit of the doubt as we give ourselves. Listen, we don't want to be judged, but we sure do judge others. I mean, when we are judged, we say to ourselves, well, that's not what I intended or meant. What if we started to say, that's not what they meant? Maybe that's not exactly, they didn't word that the right way. Maybe we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe we're going to give them a chance to do better. Maybe we're going to give them a chance to explain themselves. Sure, now there are times when people do not mean well, and sometimes I haven't meant well either. Charles Spurgeon was a preacher, and there were newspapers that were saying nasty things about him. And Charles Spurgeon responded and said this: if any man think ill of you, do not be angry with him, because you're worse than what he wants you to be. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Right now, we're an angry group of people. And it doesn't matter what color of skin you are. There's a lot of angry people today. There's angry people down there protesting. There's angry people looting. There's angry people not doing anything. There's angry people sitting at home. There's angry people watching the news, checking out Facebook. There's a lot of angry people. So give people the benefit of the doubt. And the second thing, and this is the most important thing, is I think we need to keep our eyes on the cross. I've learned this. the more aware I am of my sin, then I am more willing to forgive the sins of others. When I see that I don't have it together, that I'm not perfect, that I'm willing to forgive other people when they sin and when they do wrong. Because the fact is this, brothers and sisters, we are more free when we are not so easily offended. It's my prayer that our world finds peace. But our world will not find peace in any kind of political agenda, in any kind of movement, in any kind of backlash or whatever you want to call it. You're not going to find peace. Sure, you can try. You can try to legislate, you can try to pass agendas, and you can try to do whatever you want to do or try to what you need to do. But I'm telling you, the only peace that has ever been around is found in the Bible. It's found in Jesus Christ. He's the answer. He's the peace. He's the only one that can bring our world peace. Let's pray. God, we are an offended group of people. Your cross is actually offensive to us. Your cross tells us that we're not good. Your cross tells us that we're sinners. And that's offensive to us. But God, we need that offense because we're sinners. We're not perfect. We're broken people. And God, because we're sinners and because we're broken people, our world is in an absolute mess right now. There is no one on this earth that's got it together right now. It is a mess. I know you see it. You see it from your home, God. You see our streets, our cities. You see what's going on in our homes. You see all the stuff that's happening. You see what's going on with our politicians and our lawmakers today. God, I just pray right now that your peace will envelop our world, God. That you'll settle us down, that you'll calm us down, God, that you'll bring us to reconciliation, that you'll cause us to be able to sit at tables together, to eat lunch together, to love one another, in spite of the political agendas that we have, in spite of the color of skin, in spite of what we think about the coronavirus, God. Help us to be united. Help us to know that each one of us is a sinner and that each one of us can only be saved by the cross. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Guys, thank you for being at class today. We will see you in a few minutes at worship. Have a great day. Bye.